Good morning, everyone. My name is Linwood Mitchell. I am one of the management consultants at the University of Pittsburgh Small Business Development Center and Institute for Entrepreneurial Excellence. Excited to be with you today to finish up our three-part series of Contract Connections Bids for Pittsburgh. This session is all about closing the deal and specifically presenting your presence. Again, I am very excited for the content today and the tools and strategies, hopefully, that we will be able to discuss. Towards the end of our presentation, we'll also leave some time for some question and answers. I will also say that please feel free to use the chat feature if you have any questions during the presentation or need to make any comments. We will have people from the University of Pittsburgh as well as the city of Pittsburgh monitoring the chat throughout our time together. So again, please just take some time to really take in the information, ask any questions that you have. Again, a reminder to those who are either joining us either through phone or through the Zoom online platform, if you could please put your device on mute unless you are making a comment, that will just help to minimize distractions. So again, welcome today to again, session 3, closing the deal and presenting your presence. I can't get started in this presentation without just briefly mentioning our partners at the City of Pittsburgh. Over the past 2 sessions, so session 1 and session 2, and now this session, they have been great resources to those who have joined. They've also been a great partner for us as we have prepared this content for you. So I just want to recognize our partners at the City of Pittsburgh, Jennifer Olzinger, Chuck Durham, Riley Stewart, and Dan Tobin. Of course, this series wouldn't have been possible without their vision and, of course, their support. So just to give a quick recap of this 3-part series, my colleague Michael introduced the topic to you when we went over session 1, talking about new contracts and identifying availability of contracts. And then in session 2, my colleague Lynn gave us a nice in-depth presentation on how to respond actually to solicitations and potentially position yourself to best win contracts. And then this is where you're at today. We're going to talk about closing the deal, presenting your presence. And in the next slide, you'll see specifically what that entails. So our agenda today is about the interview. So once you've been potentially pre-selected for a bid or for a contract, there could potentially be an interview session. And this is really just an opportunity for you to really present yourself to the city in a way to show them that you are not only capable of delivering on the contract, but again, you're also introducing yourself and your capabilities just as a person, as a business owner, as well as a business. What I like about this specific session is it's not just something that you can use in responding to a solicitation for the city of Pittsburgh or for another contract that you're up against. But this is really, I would say, good business acumen, good business communication acumen that is transferable in many settings. Here at the University of Pittsburgh Small Business Development Center, our mission really is to help entrepreneurs and business owners make the best decisions they can, and really as a business, get started, grow, and prosper. We're able to do this here for entrepreneurs in the city of Pittsburgh because of, again, generous funding that we get from the SBA, so the Small Business Administration, also through the state, so the PA Department of Economic and Community Development, as well as the University of Pittsburgh and other great sponsors that really support our efforts here. But we like to teach business acumen skills to help you no matter what stage you're at. If you're just getting started in running your own business, if you've been running your business for multiple generations, wherever you're at, we're here to help you. And so again, the content in this specific session will be great for you in an interview setting, but also great for you as you strategically plan how to be a successful business. So we're going to spend a lot of time on before the interview, and that's really getting yourself prepared. And we're going to go over some key business tools that can help you prepare to present yourself in the right way in an interview session. Then we're going to actually talk about the actual interview. So when you're in the interview, how do you actually present and talk to your capabilities? So in our last session, session 2, we talked in great detail about capability statements and generating a capability statement for your business. We're going to talk about now, how do you use that document, and how can you articulate what you put on the paper? And then we're going to talk about after the interview. So I find that this is probably one of the most critical pieces of the puzzle. So when you think that you're an entrepreneur and you've got a great contract, that's great. Winning the bid or winning the project is great. But it's important that once you're in the seat, you're able to follow up. And you're also able to follow through on exactly what you said you're going to do. So we're going to provide you with some tools and strategies to make sure that you have good follow up. And then also you have tools necessary to follow through on what you said during the interview process and throughout the whole bidding process. And then we'll go over just some final thoughts. Again, other resources that you can use at the Small Business Development Center, as well as we'll give this as a chance to ask some questions, either based on today's content or content that took place over the first 2 sessions. And so again, I'm thankful that we have our partners from the city of Pittsburgh with us today to help answer those questions. And I do see some things going on in the chat, which is great. I believe you guys are introducing yourselves and providing your contact information. And so that is great. So I like to get started with a little quote. And so for those of you here on our Zoom session or on the line who are familiar with college basketball, there's a legendary basketball coach by the name of John Wooden. And John Wooden not only is known for his contributions to basketball, but he is known as someone who has really been able to articulate the art and the science of winning and being successful. And he made this comment. He said, confidence comes from being prepared. And I think that rings true in any walk of life. If you're prepared for what you're up against, you naturally have more confidence. John Wooden also is known for a model that he put together that I encourage you that if you have a chance to Google it or research it, it's called the Pyramid of Success model. So in the Pyramid of Success model, he goes through some building blocks on what it takes to be successful. Again, the mindset, the things that you need to put into it, the effort. But he also made another quote, and pretty much just to paraphrase what he was saying, when he was talking about success, he says that success is actually the satisfaction of knowing that you made the effort to become the best you are capable of becoming. And so as we start this session, I just encourage everybody on the line that when you think about presenting yourself for a potential bid or a potential piece of business with the city of Pittsburgh or with any contract you're trying to win, always approach it from a standpoint of you want to put forth your best effort, again, to be the best that you're capable of being. And if you've put in that work, when it comes to the interview setting or when it just comes through conversations with people that can help you along your journey, you will find that you're putting yourself in the best position to be successful. So with that in mind, so we're preparing for an interview. So preparing for that moment when you're face to face, potentially with a contract, and now you're really going to articulate why you're the best person, why your business is the best position to take on this piece of business. And so the first thing that I want to talk about is a mission. And so a mission statement is something that hopefully as an entrepreneur or as a business you have already thought about or you have, but if you haven't, it's something that I want you to put some significant consideration to. And so right here, Dave Ramsey said, without a mission statement, you may get on top of the ladder and realize it's leaning against the wrong building. So that would probably be a situation you don't want to be in. So again, you want to be able to drive the decisions that you're making as a business owner based on your mission. And I'll be honest with you, and I've talked to many business clients who I have consulted with, and I've let them know this fact. If a specific contract or a specific opportunity isn't aligned with your mission, it is probably a contract or even a partnership or something that you might not want to be a part of. Because again, you want to make sure that everything you do as an entrepreneur lines up with your mission, lines up with your specific core values. And when you have that synergy, again, you're positioning yourself for success. So let's talk about some of the components of a well thought out and planned mission statement. So before we go into actually formulating a mission statement, let's talk about some levels of a mission that are available. What you see on the screen is a growth wheel framework. And I believe growth wheel was introduced in our first session. But what growth wheel is it's a strategic tool that takes a 360-degree look at your business. And while you're taking that step back and looking at your overall business, there are various sections that it provides frameworks that it can help you with. And so this specific framework is dealing specifically with your mission, and it would be in the quadrant of your business concept. So as you're thinking about your business and really fleshing out the concept and where you're going to go with the business, the mission is a key component. So just a quick commercial. If you are looking for help with the growth wheel and potentially interested to see, okay, what growth wheel tools could maybe help me take my business to the next level, I encourage you to reach out to your local small business development center. Again, we have here at the University of Pittsburgh, we have consultants that have kind of had all walks of life and have owned businesses in the past and are able to use the growth wheel tool with you to help guide you through strategically planning for success. And so now that the commercial's over, the levels of a mission. So when you think about your mission, and again, you're trying to figure out how do I prepare myself to be presented appropriately to the city of Pittsburgh or to any contract, you want to have a clear idea what your own personal mission is. It could be very simple as, you want a good work-life balance. Just like you can see in that bubble on the bottom of that triangle, maybe it's to shape your surroundings. What's driving you personally? What's your personal mission as part of your company? Then right at the center, you're going to see your company mission. So what is the mission of your specific company? Is it to best serve the customers or your target market? Is it to create innovative products? Is it to build a brand? Whatever your specific mission is, you want to be able to clearly articulate that. And then the third thing is a social mission. So it's interesting. Today, you'll hear a term more and more in today's environment called the triple bottom line. So in the past, people typically thought about, okay, what drives profit? And when you think about the bottom line is pretty much simply taking a look at an income statement and looking at your revenues and your expenses and everything that goes into generating revenues and the cost of that. And then your bottom line is your profit. So really in the past, most businesses would say, okay, I'm going to drive all my decisions based on what's going to drive the most value to my shareholders or the people who own the company, that bottom line. But today, just making profit isn't enough. So as a business, you want to have some kind of social mission that you're thinking about. And again, I mentioned a triple bottom line. That's basically, are you going to make profit? Yes, one. Are you going to do something to impact society? So what's your social mission? That's two. And the third is, are you going to do something to improve the environment or to be good to the environment? So these are all things that businesses are thinking of now when they're creating their mission. You have some businesses that, talk about how they're good to the environment or how they want to, make the world a better place. So you just want to think about your specific business and, do you have a social mission? So these are the three levels of your mission. So as you start thinking about that, here's a tool. Again, this is the growth wheel framework for actually developing a mission statement. And so for those of you who are on the computer, if it's hard to see, again, that's okay. I just want to let you know you will be receiving all of this information, of course, in a packet with you. We'll provide these tools for you. And again, if you want to go through these tools in more detail, again, you can reach out to myself or the Small Business Development Center at the University of Pittsburgh to go through. So when you are formulating a mission, there are really 5 key questions that you want to ask yourself. So the first thing you want to do is you want to figure out, okay, well, what problem or what need does my company meet or solve? So what problem does my company solve? And so again, based on your industry, there might be a specific problem that you want to solve. It might be you're in construction and you want to be able to provide the best experience to your customers. You found that maybe a lot of people in your industry don't provide good customer service. They just focus on the end product. So you want to be able to have a great end product, but you also want to package that with a focus of providing great customer service. You see that as a problem. That could be something. The next thing you want to determine is who is your company solving the problem for. So again, that's pretty much your target market or your target group. Who's the main person that will benefit or the main group that would benefit from your product or your service? The next thing you want to formulate is how are you going to solve the problem? So again, what was the problem? Who are you solving it for? But now, how are you going to do it? So again, what's your strategy? What's your method? How do you go about doing your day-to-day operation? The next thing that I find to be very critical is it's which value is created to the target group. So it's all about value. Now what value are you providing? So think about this now. You're presenting yourself to win a contract with the city. You want to be able to clearly show the city the value that you can create if you're chosen for the product or if you've won the bid. You want to clearly show, again, the value. And then the last question, and that I find this to probably be one of the most compelling things, is why does it all matter? Why are you doing it? What is in it for, again, the customer? But what's your why? And we're going to go into that in more detail. And so if you look at this framework, after you've answered and jot down your thoughts on those 5 questions, now you can put it into a draft sentence form. And you can see that at the bottom of this document. And then you put your answers right underneath that opening statement. So our company's mission is to deliver, make, or develop what? Again, whatever you're trying to do to solve the problem. We're doing it to this specific customer group. You list that. In what way are we going to do it? We're going to do it by doing step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. And then again, when we do this, this is the value we will create. And then you close it with pretty much that mantra. We are doing this because we are passionate about bringing whatever it is to our target market. So if you follow that outline, that's now giving you pretty much the framework or the foundation for a mission statement. It's interesting. I talk about this all the time when we talk about mission statements. One thing that you want to consider when you're doing a mission statement is you want to answer those questions, but you also want to do it in a concise way. You want to do it in a way that's memorable, in a way that somebody will remember. And I'll tell you why that's important in a few steps later. But I often give this example. One of the mission statements that I remember the most vividly comes from one of my first jobs that I've ever had out of college. And it was with the Pepsi Bottling Group. And the Pepsi Bottling Group at the time, what they did was they actually delivered Pepsi products. So they were, if you see truck drivers on the road delivering Pepsi products, that's the team that I worked with. And their mission was simple. Their mission was, we have absolute clarity around what we do. We sell soda. And we sell soda by following these rules of the road. And they gave, again, their strategy for how they would do it. What's amazing about that is that's one of the only mission statements that I remember to this day. And again, it's been over 15, 20 years since I was introduced to it. And so I say that all to say is, again, clearly articulate what you do in a concise way that will stand out to those that you are talking to. So that's a mission statement. So that's what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. The next thing that, as again, we're all in the preparation stage. We're trying to present our presence. We're trying to clearly know what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, and what we want to cause through our business. So this next thing is a vision. So a vision is forward looking. So you can think about a vision in terms of your business's vision, but you can also think about it as a vision for the project that you're embarking on or the contract that you're looking to compete on. So you want to think about what's your vision if you're chosen. And so how this framework is used, you want to look at the top and the bottom. So first, let's start with the bottom. So at the bottom in the circle, if you can see the screen, it's just a circle that says, just describe the world as it is today. So you just want to describe for your specific industries or for your specific business, what is the world like today? So that's in today's perspective. Then you want to go to the top and you want to talk about, okay, well, what would the future look like? So potentially, maybe it's technological influences or things that's shifting the way your industry is moving, or maybe it's how you want to shift the industry, how you want to shift the perspective of your specific type of business. And so you want to talk about what will the future look like. So what is it today, and then what will the future hold, or what will the future look like? Again, this is again, you're forward thinking. You're just thinking by looking at again the business environment, what's going on in society, all of this. And so in the middle, you have the arrows of what will take you from today to tomorrow. So what are the key elements that are going to be involved with getting you where you want to go or getting you where you think things are going? And so, just for example, again, this is a great exercise that you could actually use to clearly show someone to say, hey, if you select me for this specific job, this is what you're going to get. And here are the elements that are going to go into creating that vision for you. Again, we have the best workforce. We have the best and newest equipment. Again, we have expertise in the industry. Whatever those elements are that are going to show hey, this might be what you're used to, but this is what you'll get if you come on board with us or if you give us this opportunity. So you're just creating a vision. You're just trying to show your vision for something. So again, these are just tools to help you as you're thinking through how to articulate your mission and how to articulate potentially your vision. The next tool that I want to introduce you to is a SWOT analysis. So this is a basic strategic framework that has been used for years. And the SWOT analysis pretty much goes by the acronym strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And the reason why this is important, because you want to clearly know yourself as a business. You want to clearly know what are your strengths. And so go through the exercise of jotting down what your strengths are as a business. That should be easy. And what's also important to do is to understand your weaknesses or areas that you can improve. And so jot down maybe things that could be getting in your way or some things that are weaknesses. So those are all internal to your organization. Your strengths and your weaknesses are internal to your business. The next thing you want to start jotting down as you're strategically planning is what opportunities are out there. And so opportunities are looking from the outside. So remember how I talked about strengths and weaknesses being internal to your specific business or enterprise? Your opportunities and threats are on the outside. So these are things that not only are you potentially dealing with, but your competition is dealing with too. These are just outside factors. So an opportunity might be, if you can clearly leverage your strengths and minimize your weaknesses, you can get new contract opportunities with the city of Pittsburgh or with, other, business. So opportunity is what's out there if you can capitalize on your strengths. Now, your threats are things that are going to prevent you potentially from achieving your goals. So you want to list that out too to see, what are you competing against? So what are some of the threats out there? Maybe the labor market is challenged. Maybe your specific business or industry is very, maybe it's cost intensive. So maybe there's a lot of cost that you have to make sure that you have enough financial backing to get through. Maybe it's just heightened competition. Maybe you're going up against a lot of people that maybe have more years of experience than you. So you just want to have a clear picture of your strengths, your weaknesses, what opportunities are out there, and what threats are out there as well. So again, just want to remind you, these are all things that we're doing before we even get into an interview situation and we start now talking about our capabilities. Because these are questions that are going to come up. You might hear a simple question of, tell me about your strengths as a business. You want to have all of this information ready. So the next thing, again, this is just a recap of what you learned about in session 2. So again, my colleague Lynn did a great job of going through a capability statement, what goes into it, the main sections, how you should present it, again, how you position yourself for the most success in having a complete a capability statement. But I just want to review a couple things. Your capability statement is just a concise document that's highlighting your business's competencies. Really, it's like the resume for your business. The main purpose, again, is to convey information that is most important to a particular decision maker. So again, when you're in front, and I say this because you want to be able to have a living, breathing document, again, that speaks to your audience. So if you are now in a position where you're articulating your capability statements to the city of Pittsburgh, that might sound a little bit different than if you're just telling me about your capability. So again, you want to customize it to the person that you are delivering the information to. So again, successful firms and successful businesses use a capability statement for a number of purposes, as you can see on the screen. Just a way to get in the door, to show what your qualifications are, to talk about past performance. And so that's good. It's almost like a good reference point to say, hey, this is what we've done in the past successfully. And this is something that should set you apart from your competitors. So these tools that hopefully you're putting together are not punitive exercises. These are things that will separate you from your competition and are great leave behinds after a specific meeting. So I've found that a lot of business owners who are in a business meeting where they're trying to get business, sometimes they want to leave something behind so they can be remembered. A capability statement is a nice, concise document that you can leave behind that people can now say, okay, wow, I remember this individual. I see what they can do. Let's get them on the phone for some business. We talked about the key areas of a successful capability statement. You want to talk about your core competencies. You want to highlight your past performance. You want to talk about what differentiates you, again, from the competition. You want your corporate identification data. So you want to be able to talk about, the industry that you compete in, your NICS codes, any certifications that you might have, any licensing that you have. And then most importantly, you want to have your contact information. So how can people reach you? How can they learn more about what you can do? Whether it's going to your website, whether it's a key contact person with email and phone number, or even maybe a social media address to where they can go to get more information to get in contact. So I went through the capability statement quick just because, again, that was just a review from last week, because when you were filling out some of the bids, key sections of the bids were, talk about your capabilities. And so being able to have that capability statement was critical for that session 2, but it's also now critical for you to be able to articulate that as well in any interview session. So the next tool, again, that I want to introduce is your elevator pitch. So do you have an elevator pitch as a business? If not, again, you should definitely have one. So again, this is something that will prepare you to capture the attention of your audience. So what is an elevator pitch? Simply what an elevator pitch is, if you think about going into an elevator, you have a short period of time to introduce yourself and tell somebody what you're all about and specifically ask for a specific piece of business. You typically have anywhere from 45 seconds to a minute. I'll be honest, if I'm in an elevator for a minute, that's probably too long. But an elevator pitch is in 45 seconds to a minute, can you articulate these 4 things? So this is just a quick elevator pitch worksheet that is also provided for you in the material. But you want to first introduce yourself. So who are you? What's your role within the company? And again, who you are. What's your headline? The next thing you want to do is you want to talk about the current state or the challenge. So what challenge is in the market today? So what's the challenge? What's the reason for you going into business? What makes your business important? The third thing you want to highlight is the benefit or the future state. And again, you're probably thinking like, you know what, Linwood, you talked a little bit about this in your mission statement. You talked a little bit about this in the vision statement. Absolutely. All of these things start to tie together. So hopefully you can kind of see how the pieces of the puzzle, hopefully now are starting to come together. But next you want to articulate, with your business, what would the future state look like? Based on your product solution or based on your service solution, what's the future like with your business thriving? And then the last thing is ask for the business. So we're all, I would say, in the business of sales. So you want to be able to clearly know what you need and you want to be able to ask for it. So if you're in an interview session and you've introduced yourself, you talked about, again, this is why I do business. This is the benefit of you using me. You might just want to close by saying, I would like to have the opportunity to take part in this contract. Maybe you just want to direct somebody to your website. So you want to ask, I encourage you, go to www. Whatever and learn more about what we're trying to achieve. So you always want to have some kind of close. And on the right side of the screen, you can just kind of see the pacing or the cadence for a successful elevator pitch. You see that most of your time is spent on talking about the benefit of your business, so the solution. So the bulk of that minute pitch is really talking about, again, your solution or how you plan to tackle a project, how you plan to solve a problem. What is your plan for business? And so all of this that we've talked about so far really wouldn't mean anything if you don't clearly know why you're doing it. There is a model called the Golden Circle that was created by a gentleman by the name of Simon Sinek. And really, what he was saying is that often we focus on, as entrepreneurs or business owners, what we do and how we do it. And when we're in a situation where we're explaining to someone our presence or talking about what we can do if granted a piece of business, we focus on the what and the how. But even though that is important, what's central and what you really want to drive home is why you are going to do it, why you're in business. What is that value? Why are you doing what you're doing, and why is it important? And he came up with a statement which I find to be something that always sticks with me and something that I find to be very profound. But he said that people don't necessarily buy what you do or what you offer, they buy why you do it. And so just really start thinking about it when you're about to approach an interview situation or when you're in conversations with another partner, when you're in those situations where you're trying to communicate, again, your presence, you're trying to communicate your capabilities, really focus on, why, focus on the why. All right. So as I mentioned, the bulk of that content really dealt with even before you're in front of somebody. And so you can see a lot of the heavy lifting that takes place there. And again, remember, you're all, just like we talked about John Wooden, you're preparing for success. When you think about someone in sports, game day, yeah, that's what everybody sees. But game day is only a 2-hour period. What goes into that 2-hour performance takes place throughout the entire week. So you want to, again, spend a lot of time on the front end doing things like clearly crafting a mission statement, clearly crafting your vision statement, making sure you have a capability statement in place, making sure you have an elevator pitch, again, that clearly talks about what you can do. All these things are things that you want to do at the very early stages of your business. So now, while you're in an interview, these are some things that you want to consider or some things that you want to be mindful of. And these points here, I'm not going to go through every one of them, but I just want to make sure you see them. One, you want to make sure that you can clearly articulate your firm's qualifications and experience. Again, can you clearly talk to it? You want to make sure that you can concisely explain your approach and your plan to successfully completing the project. So again, when you think about completing a bid or doing a contract, You want to really say, okay, this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to tackle the project. This is how I'm going to make sure that I meet all of the requirements, that I meet the requirements in a timely fashion. There's certain expectations that you're setting. Now you want to clearly talk about your plan on how you're going to do it. So, can you show that you fully understand the scope of the project? Do you understand what you're potentially getting into? And do you understand if it fits your mission? What are your competitive advantages? So why should someone choose you? What makes you better than the competition? To be able to do this, you need to clearly know yourself. Again, go back to that SWOT analysis that we talked about. Can you clearly talk about what makes you better than the competition? But you probably want to have some information on the competition as well too, to show, hey, this is why we're better. And then the next thing you want to consider is, how are you representing your personal and company brand? So we're going to go over some tips on how you can visually present your personal and company brand, but think about how you're going into a meeting, how you're responding to follow-up items. Are you conducting yourself in a professional way? Are you conducting yourself in a way that represents your company to show that, hey, I'm representing myself in a way that should show you the quality of work that I'm going to complete as well? And then the last thing, which I think is something that often people just neglect to do, is have you practice. So we're going to go over some sample questions that can take place in an interview. Practice answering these questions with someone, talking to yourself and looking at yourself in a mirror to see how your body language looks when you're answering a question. Are you showing confidence? Do you believe what you're saying? Have you practiced, again, answering basic interview questions? Here are some tips. You want to research the company or the opportunity. So at this point, if you're responding to a contract or a bid, you should probably clearly understand that contract and, again, what you signed up for. So you've gone through that in step 1 and step 2 already. So you've done the research. You hopefully know what you're getting into. But again, in any situation, make sure that you know the potential business that you're looking to partner with or trying to get business from. Simple things like here. And again, these are just basic common sense points that I just want to throw out there. Make sure you dress appropriately for the interview. You want to be on time. You want to avoid distractions and keep eye contact. When you're keeping that eye contact, that's just proven behaviors to show that you're confident. So if you can look someone in the eye, it exudes confidence. And so you want to be able to, again, present yourself in a confident manner. And that leads us right into, be confident, be comfortable, put yourself in a position. If you've done the research ahead of time, if you've done the necessary preparation steps, you should be comfortable, or at least you're putting yourself in the best situation to be comfortable. Be aware of your body language. And the last thing, again, rehearse. So these interview tips were taken from an article on Indeed, again, on how you can introduce yourself the best way and how you can present yourself the best way. Again, today we're talking about tools and strategies to present yourself in the best way in an interview setting, but also in any business to business or business to consumer situation where you're trying to capture a piece of the business. Right here, and also provided in your packet, that will be provided in your packet, is just a simple interview worksheet. And so I wanted to provide this because this is kind of a look from potentially what the person who's conducting the interview is evaluating you on. And so again, each situation has different evaluation metrics that they're looking to accomplish, but these are just basic things that people could potentially be looking for in your answers. And so you want to be able to, know that ahead of time to make sure that you're articulating this. I got this information from SCORE. And so score.org is another great resource for entrepreneurs. So if you're not familiar with them, they're also an organization that receives funding from the SBA, but they provide mentors of people who have done similar businesses. They're typically entrepreneurs or people who have worked with entrepreneurs who are willing to give advice and act as mentors. So if you're not familiar with the SCORE organization, I encourage you to look them up. They're also a great free resource out there for you as an entrepreneur. So you just want to look at this worksheet, and there's simple things is, people are going to try to figure out, okay, what job experience does this person have? What skills are they articulating? Do they have the certifications or the education necessary to, again, do what they're trying to do? Again, there's certain contracts require certain skilled labor. So do you have those skills? And that leads right into training and certifications. Here are some, I would say, intangible things that you want to make sure you get out as well. So you want to be able to clearly talk about how you manage your time. So do you have time management skills? One thing that I will say will erode confidence or prevent you maybe from getting repeat business is if you say you're going to do something in a certain time frame and you're not able to deliver on those results, or you're not able to manage the project appropriately. So you want to be able to clearly talk about your ability to manage time, what your time management skills are. You want to clearly talk about your managerial skills. Again, how are you leading a team? When you think about management, management is pretty much, how do you plan? How do you organize? How do you coordinate? How do you command? And how do you control? So those are the basic 5 functions of management. You want to be able to talk about how you can do that. And then also you want to think about some of the intangible things. How are you coaching your workforce to make sure that they are accomplishing the task? And that leads you into your people skills. What people skills are standing out or can you present? Just a few other areas, again, that potentially could be considerations for, again, are you the right person? Are you the best qualified for a certain job? Do you have problem solving skills? What are your job accomplishments? What are your strengths and weaknesses? What's your interest? You'll talk about the interest in your company, your attitude, all of these things. So you want to show, again, that you're passionate about what you do, you're passionate about your company, you're passionate about delivering great results. So again, these are just all things that, again, you saw in a lot of the earlier worksheets that you've already hopefully done or that you will do. And you can see now how you can infuse each of these components into some of these areas that are going to be assessed or that could potentially be assessed. So here's some simple sample interview questions. So again, remember we talked about rehearsing and practicing. So can you answer these questions confidently? The one that always gets me, which is probably the easiest question, but I find myself rambling if I haven't fully prepared and kind of mapped out what I want to say. But tell me about your business. That's typically a good lead-in. Tell me a little bit about your business. That's a way for you really to show what you can do, what you're all about. This would be a section where I clearly talk about my mission. This is my mission statement right here. This is my vision for what I can do or what I want to accomplish. Tell me about your business. So that's how the mission and vision can go right into play. So why are you interested in this project or job? Why do you want this piece of business? What is your approach to ensuring projects are completed on time? So again, your project plan. I've probably mentioned this numerous times already, but clearly having a plan for how you're going to approach the project is very, very, very important. Tell me about your experience in this specific area. This could be a great time where you draw their attention to your capability statement. That's a tip that I always like to do. So instead of always just talking, sometimes I like to draw their attention to some of the leave behinds that I'm going to give them. So if I receive the question of, tell me about your experience in this specific area, I would maybe start off and say, I'm glad you asked that question. I clearly have articulated that here in my capability statement that I just want to draw your attention to. Here's a specific project that is similar that I was able to complete, and I was able to get rave reviews from that specific organization. So you want to be able to maybe draw on from your capability statement there. Why should you be selected for the bid? Tell me about your core business values. And of course, you want to always have questions to maybe clarify things that maybe didn't come across in the initial stages of going out for the bid. So if you do have those, make sure that you ask questions. And so have at least 1 or 2 questions prepared. This interview model, I just want to present it to you. Again, this would be something that you could use. One reason why that I like models or frameworks is it really helps me capture my thoughts or helps me put things in an order to where hopefully I'm answering a question thoroughly and I'm staying on message. It's easy in an interview session because it's a high pressure situation to go off track or potentially ramble or to provide information that maybe is not relevant. if you stick to this STAR interview method, this is a great way to, again, keep your message concise and on track. And so the STAR model, STAR, is just really the situation, the task, the action, and results. And so what that would look like is if you're asked a question, start by the situation. So set the scene. And so typically you're pulling from a past experience to show how you would approach something. So this is great if you're talking about, tell me about some of your past successes or your past experience doing this type of project. What you would do is you would set the scene. You would give them some context of a project that you worked on in the past. Then you would talk about that specific task that you did. So you would describe the purpose of that task or why you did that business. Then you would talk about clearly your actions. So explain what you did. So again, this goes right into, again, your project plan. So hopefully, again, you're seeing how all this ties together. But you clearly explain, this is what I did in that situation to accomplish the task. And then you end with your result. So you show them, hey, look, this is what you get when you do business with me. This was the outcome that I achieved. I finished the project ahead of schedule. I was able to, again, meet all the needs of my client. I was able to receive a glowing testimonial from them, which you see right here on my capability statement. So again, if you follow that model, that just helps potentially keep your thoughts on track. So that was during the interview. So hopefully you saw some questions that you can prepare for, some areas that you want to make sure that you're touching on in your answers. Hopefully you can see now a method for how to even go through the answers of those questions. But now that the interview's all over, you can finally take a deep breath. Hopefully you presented yourself the best way you can. If at all, or if nothing else, you've presented yourself because you've done the research, you've presented yourself the best way you could, but you want to follow up. So you typically want to send some kind of email or thank you communication to the person that you talked to. And you want to do this within a 24-hour period. So while it's still fresh on the individual's mind, you don't know how quickly they have to make a decision, but you want to really stay in front of them and you want to do it within 24 hours. In that communication or in that follow-up, you want to, again, mention anything that you forgot to say during the interview. After the interview is a great time for reflection. You want to talk about, okay, did I articulate everything I wanted to? Did I answer that question the way I wanted to? And if maybe you missed something, take that opportunity in your follow-up just to mention something that maybe you forgot to say. You can just say, hey, you know what, when we were discussing this specific topic, I forgot to mention this critical part of my action plan or how I would complete this project. I just want to reiterate this fact of what I'll do. You want to correct any mistakes that you made. So if you made a mistake or forgot something, address that. And then at the very end, again, it always comes back to closing the deal or closing the business. So you want to remind the interviewer of why you're qualified, why you want a job. Let them know that you want the contract and you're the most qualified person for it. So again, this is just business acumen that you want to make sure you have. And again, it's just good to make sure that you're doing this following an interview. So the last main section of our content today, and that's almost going to take us to an hour. I want to make sure that we have time to ask any questions that you have just about the process with the city of Pittsburgh and responding to bids and so forth. But I want to just clearly talk about once you've actually won the project. So you've gone through the interview, you've got the opportunity, and now it's time to perform. When you're in this stage, this is very important for you to make sure that you deliver on everything that you talked about in that interview or everything that you've talked about throughout the process. You want to make sure you're best positioned to be successful. And really what that comes down to, project management. This is a skill that as an entrepreneur, you want to make sure you're always refining, whether you're new in business or whether you've been in business for years on top of years. And you've had successful projects that you've completed, you always want to refine your project management skills. And these are just the main areas. Again, you want to make sure your planning is tight. You want to make sure that you execute. While you're executing, you want to always monitor and control. And then you want to close the loop. So you want to finish out everything and hopefully get repeat business. But there are tools out there that help you through the project management process. So if you're not familiar with some of these tools, I encourage you to research them. Talk to your local small business development center to see if they have any specific tools that can accomplish this. But one piece of software that is very good for project management is Microsoft Project. So you can see that just a little illustration on my screen, but Microsoft Project is a great tool to use for all the stages of managing a project that you're in. What you see in the illustration also with the bars is a basic Gantt chart. And so Microsoft Project can help you put together Gantt charts, but a Gantt chart is a nice visual to show what tasks you'll be doing throughout the project plan. So if you know that, hey, I'm starting this specific project in July, I have to be finished with this project by September. And in that period from July to September, I have these 10 tasks that I have to complete. You want to start mapping out how long those periods will be and when those projects will start, or when those tasks will start and when those tasks will end. And this is a great visual representation. And what will happen is you'll clearly see right away if you're on task in terms of time frame, or if you're falling behind. So you might see that, you know what, task 1, 2, and 3 were completed ahead of schedule, but for whatever reason, task 4 is being drawn out. So how is now that going to impact task 5, 6, 7, and 8? So again, project management tools are important, and so that you can stay on top of a project in terms of timeliness. The next thing you want to clearly have are your 30, 60, 90-day plans. And so again, similar to that Gantt chart where now you've laid out the time frame, you want to have a plan of what takes place between 30, 60, and 90 days. Tools like your dashboard to kind of show how you're performing against certain tasks, your key metrics for success. Have you outlined those metrics? Your dashboard will show you how you're performing throughout the project. Task lists, you've already seen that. That can also be on your Gantt chart, and just clear project plans. So these are project management tools that I want to make sure you are aware of, that you're researching, and that you're hopefully, talking to, again, the consultants that we have at our center or other centers to help you navigate through. So if you don't have this already, those are just some tools that can help you manage the project once you've won it. So again, you can probably see I love sports. And so ending with this quote right here, ability is what you're capable of doing. Motivation determines what you do. Attitude determines how well you do it. So hopefully, you guys have the attitude that you can be successful in whatever you do. Being an entrepreneur is a great experience. Going through the process of trying to win a contract is a great experience as well too. But you always want to have the can-do attitude, and to understand that, again, you can do it successfully, and you want to be able to articulate that attitude in any setting, especially an interview. So as we close the formal part of this specific presentation, I just want to review what you're going to receive in your packet. So you're going to receive not only, of course, the PowerPoint slides, but you'll receive a lot of the tools in individual form that we went through the presentation. So your elevator pitch worksheet, an interview worksheet, and then you'll also receive those growth wheel tools on mission and vision included in your packet. Again, just to help you make sure that you're able to, again, craft an elevator pitch, prepare yourself for an interview, and then also clearly articulate your mission and your vision. I will say, you've heard me talk about our role at the Small Business Development Center many times. We are a part of the Centers of Excellence network. Throughout our Pennsylvania SBDC network, we have specialists that deal with certain areas. So we're a digital services center of excellence at the University of Pittsburgh. But you can see, if there's other areas that you want specific expertise on, again, reach out to your local center and they can connect you to maybe another center that can specifically help you in a certain area. These are some of the things we can do at the University of Pittsburgh, again, as a digital services center of excellence. You can see the SEO reports, that's a search engine optimization. Again, we're talking about presenting your presence, but your website is also a way for you to present your presence when people aren't even talking to you, but they're doing that background research on you. So is your website positioned appropriately to present your company the right way and give people access to what you can do? So we're able to provide a very detailed and professional search engine optimization report for you at no cost. Again, reach out to our center for information on that. But if your business has a website, you should have a search engine optimization report, and we're here to be able to provide that for you. I talked about some of the funding we get as a small business development center. Just wanted to throw this up on the screen. Some of our key sponsors that again help us do what we do. If you're looking for, a professional network, we are connectors at the Small Business Development Center as well. So if you need an accountant and you need a CPA, you need a banker, you need a lawyer, we can help provide at least referrals to you to give you a group of resources to reach out to. Request for consulting. If you want more information on some of the information that we went over today, or just in managing your business in general, you can see the link right here on the screen. Please send a request to receive Small Business Development Center or SBDC Consulting. You see to the link sbdc@innovation.pitt.edu. I also want to draw your attention to additional training. Again, as an entrepreneur, you should always be looking for ways to, again, master your craft and get better. Invest in yourself. You have taken a great step here just by taking part of this 3-part series, but we have other training that could be beneficial to you. And you can look it up, look at our schedule on entrepreneur.pitt.edu. So entrepreneur.pitt.edu. For if we have any students joining us today, I just want to draw your attention to the QR code to get credit, again, for participating in session 3 of Contract Connections Bids for Pittsburgh. That is right there on your screen. I'll just leave that up for a few seconds. And really, the final thought that I want to give before I open it up to any Q&A that hasn't taken place on the chat is I just want to say thank you. This 3-part series is really for you, just to help position you to identify potential contracts that could be available to you through the city of Pittsburgh, how to best respond to them, and then lastly, how to present yourself the best way if you're potentially called upon, and then also when you're trying to deliver on what you've said you're going to do. So with that, thank you for taking part of this training. But now I want to open it up, and I just wanted to see if Jennifer, I know you've been very vocal on these sessions. Do you have any closing comments for our participants today? And then I'll just ask if there's any questions.
I'd like a few minutes at the end. I don't know if you would possibly be able to give me the ability to share my screen to highlight something that we have, but I want to make sure that everybody gets to ask their questions first. Let's see, I do have a question in the chat. What is the business climate you are predicting for local contracting in 2021 and for startups? Wow, can you take that one, Linwood? I don't know what kind of site, market insights that the SBDC might have.
Yeah, and you know what? I think that's a good question, and we're actually, Glenn, I appreciate that. We're in interesting times right now, just because of everything that's going on. Of course, we know with the pandemic and things like that, that's really disrupting, various industries. So that's kind of hard to predict right now, and especially we're, in an election cycle as well too. But there are a couple things that, we do have economic reports that we can provide to you that can kind of talk about some of the opportunities that should be on the horizon for 2021 and beyond. But I will say, in times like this, for startups, it's a great time, because now you can take a step back. You can look at what's changing in the environment. So again, go back to what I was talking about, even when you just start thinking about visions. So you want to think about, okay, well, where is everything going now with this new normal? Things being more remote, things being online, and so forth. And so, it definitely is a loaded question. But it's a great opportunity for startups now to see how things can be done differently. And it's a great opportunity to start a business. This is when a lot of businesses get started when industries are disrupted. So as someone who potentially could be thinking about looking for contracts and looking to start up businesses, this is actually a good time to really get that thought process going and just really start thinking about how has today's environment changed, maybe how certain industries do business, and can you do it better? So again, that's just a general question, but we do have also economic reports that we can share with you that can show you some of the trends and what that could mean for 2021 beyond.
We got a note in here from Nikisha. She's recently contacted by a company who saw her SAM federal profile, reaching out to her saying that she was missing her capability statement and they can help, but she would have to pay $1,500. She's wanting everybody to know SBDC and SCORE can help, and it is free. So yeah, that's a good point to make, to be kind of smart business owners and not pay for things that you can get for free from SBDC or other resources. So thanks for that note, Nikisha. That's going to be helpful to the group to know they don't have to pay for those things, and they can get them right here in our own backyard. So
Absolutely. Yeah, and when we're talking about also capability statements, we provided a lot of examples in session 2. And so again, I would encourage people to take a look at some of those samples. But again, just like was mentioned, take advantage of the free resources that are out there through organizations like the Small Business Development Center and SCORE. Absolutely. Any other questions that we have? Any questions or comments? And then Jen, I will work on trying to see if I can provide you access to share your screen. Any other questions out there that potentially the city of Pittsburgh or we can answer here at the Small Business Development Center? Again, this opportunity is for you. I appreciate all of those who hung in there for the session today and for the past 2 sessions. Again, hopefully you received some great information and also tools to not only go through this bidding process, but also to just better equip yourself to win contracts. So just give it a few more minutes. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to see, Jen, if I can give you control.
it says host disabled participant screen sharing.
Okay, Jen, I'm going to try to make you a host if I can.
Okay. If not, I can have you bring the website up and just have you do it.
Okay. Okay, Jen, you are now a co-host. Let me see if you can go in and share.
All right, here we go. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. So one thing that I wanted to highlight that was mentioned in a couple of the sessions, but since we have a little extra time here at the end, I really wanted to kind of go over it in more detail. But this is this is the city's purchasing website. Obviously, you can register here, look at bid opportunities here, look at current contracts here. But what I wanted to focus on a little bit here is our buying plan. This is something really new that we just started to do this year. And this is a comprehensive document for the city and its 5 sister agencies. So this is a document that's going to outline opportunities that are going to be upcoming for the next year for not only the city, but the Housing Authority of the City of Pittsburgh, the Pittsburgh Parking Authority, the Pittsburgh Water and Sewer Authority, the Sports and Exhibition Authority, and the Urban Redevelopment Authority. We did not do one in third quarter. The reason being is our budget is very much unknown this year for the 2021 due to COVID. So we're not really sure of all of the agencies what we're really going to be purchasing next year yet. So we kind of skipped Q3, and we're going to have one later in the year once budgets kind of get finalized for Q4 or Q1 2021. So it'll give you a year outlook of all of the things that these agencies are going to be buying. You can click here. It'll take you directly to any of the pages. It has a little hyperlink if you want to look at specific ones, but we'll hop down to the city of Pittsburgh. And what this shows you is all of the things that the city right now plans to buy, the estimated value and the estimated release quarter of that, and the estimated term of that contract. So this is a really, really nice, thing that we now have just started this year. And it'll show you everything that the city does, which is a lot. This is all of the city's 19 departments. The housing authority, what they're going to be doing, bathtub refinishing, legal services, laundry services, busing, there's anything and everything in here. So this is a really, really nice document for small businesses to go out and look at and see what's coming within the next year, so that they know if plant chemicals here is something that you sell, that the Water and Sewer Authority, that in the fourth quarter of 2020, this is a $5 to $10 million contract on plant chemicals that the PWSA is going to be put out. You can prepare, do research, and do things before that fourth quarter when that bid comes out, and then you only have 3 weeks or a month to respond. You can look at, go to their website, you can pull up the old contracts, reach out and try and get information so that you can prepare yourself well ahead of time. A lot of times it's hard for small businesses, to have those resources when they don't have full-time marketing people and things like that. So, being able to look at this buying plan and really get a year outlook could be, extremely helpful to all of you. This is what the Sports and Exhibition Authority is doing. They're having, look, a $1 million to $5 million exterior painting at the convention center. That's a huge opportunity. And also, this is, as a small business, you can reach out to some of the bigger people in the area that you think might be bidding on these and say, hey, I want to be a subcontractor. Let me do this part of this work, because all of these entities that, that are putting these things out, we all have good faith effort requirements for MWDBE, VOSB owned businesses. We have, like I said, the EORC commission at the city, but all of these agencies follow city code, and city code requires a good faith effort in contracts of certain sizes to include subcontractors. So, maybe you can't handle a $250,000 to $1 million roof repair, but maybe, you can reach out to, if you sell roofing supplies, you could reach out to the big contractors in the area, say, hey, this is going to come up, pick me as your minority supplier of your roofing supplies, to help meet your good faith effort opportunities if you're going to be doing something like that. So just really wanted to highlight this buying plan and let everybody know that this is out here. Again, we did not update it this quarter due to just really all of the unknowns of COVID and what any of these entities are going to have in their budget. Obviously, like Pittsburgh Parking Authority in here has put off all procurements. Nobody's parking downtown, nobody's there. So it's very, very unknown right now, but I just want to make sure that everybody knew that was out there. And because we do have a few more minutes, another nice thing to look at is the city's current contracts. And if you are in cleaning, you can see what we have, when they're going to expire. You can also see, again, who the current contract holders are. So if you sell cleaning supplies, maybe you sell green cleaning supplies, which is part of our, our contractors are supposed to use a certain percent of, earth-friendly, biodegradable, organic type plant-based products. So you could reach out to, the folks on here that hold the city contracts and say, hey, King General Cleaning, you have the parks contracts. I know you have MWDBE requirements. Use me for your supplies, right? So this is a nice way of, using this public portal of all of our contracts to try and expand your business. And as a small business, become some suppliers or service providers to some of these bigger contract holders, so you can get that experience and move up and start getting more on the city's radar. Even if you aren't, ready to be a big giant contract holder yourself, sell yourself to some of these other agencies, that already do work for the city, and reach out and offer yourself as a partner to them. So those are just some good tips that I think it's nice to use what's out here in different ways. So, does anybody have any questions on the buying plan itself? I'm not seeing any in the chat.
I don't see any either. If you do want to ask a question and you don't want to use a chat, feel free to take yourself off mute to ask a question while we have the time.
Okay, I guess none.
Great, great. Well, guys, thank you so much. Again, this is just the beginning of the process. Hopefully now you have some additional tools to, again, locate some of these great opportunities, or even how you can partner with other contractors. Again, this is really for you. And we are just glad that we were able to offer this 3-part series. Again, take advantage of all the resources that are out there for you. You have the links to request consulting if you want additional one-on-one support. But with that, I am going to stop the recording. And again, I want to thank everybody for your time this morning.